really makes me mad just because it's a nicer car that it's socially acceptable that you can all of a sudden switch an iconic movie car. What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. I'm finding myself more and more into these discussions as of late. Similar topic. Pretty much somebody will post something on Instagram, like this photo, and it just gets to me. It really gets to me. I cannot believe so many people are fooled. Everybody needs to get out there and go watch the original. Go watch the original Gone in 60 Seconds. Find out where this movie started. It's the same as the Italian Job. Sure, they remade it. Would you consider the original Italian Job more important than the remake, the Mark Wahlberg version? Difference between the Italian Job that Mark Wahlberg was in and the original is they didn't change the cars. They kept the same car. They just updated them, gave them a more modern version of the same car. So I'm going to talk today about iconic movie cars. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 17, it doesn't matter if you're 50. Hell, you could be 80. There's some movies of Steve McQueen driving around, or James Bond driving around, that were iconic movie cars that make you remember or even make you think back to a different time. Today's modern day, most people think of Gone in 60 Seconds and that iconic gray with the black stripe 67 Shelby GT500. First of all, the movie is garbage. Had so many cameos in there. It's just like The Expendables. Had so many cameos from so many people. There's a ton of people that did that movie. The acting is terrible. The storyline is terrible. It's a remake, and they ruined it. Nicolas Cage is probably one of the worst actors I've ever seen in my life. There's YouTube videos on how bad Nicolas Cage's acting is. It's horrendous. But you watch that movie, and then bam, they're talking about Eleanor, and then they show this car. That car is not Eleanor. I don't care if you like it. Hell, I like it. It's a beautiful car. Sounds good. It looks good. It's not Eleanor, though. So many iconic movie cars throughout everyone's history. Your history, my history, anybody's history. Whether you're referring to the Mad Max cars, movie cars that were influential on your bringing up. The Ghostbuster car. Starsky and Hutch. Could you imagine Starsky and Hutch driving anything other than a Torino? What about the Scooby-Doo van? Could they drive anything else? Would it be the same? It's not. It couldn't be. Oh, let's see. I've got notes on the subject because there's so much I could bring up. A-Team. Could you imagine the A-Team driving anything else? Anything else than that black van with the red stripe on it? I couldn't. Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller steals his dad's car and goes out for a joyride. Turns into an epic adventure. That car couldn't be anything else. It couldn't be anything but that old school Ferrari. Herbie. Could you imagine if Herbie was anything other than a bug? I just don't get it. The General Lee. Here's an example of somebody who tried to remake a General Lee using a different car. Right there. That car would smoke the original General Lee. That car I would consider to be a far better vehicle. Maybe not for the backwoods, jumping over river dams and broken bridges and things like that. Maybe not for that aspect, but on the road, that modern day car would smoke that Charger. But the Charger's iconic. You cannot change the General Lee. There's been many attempts to change the General Lee. Here's another one. Doesn't even compare. Doesn't even look the same. It's not even fair. Knight Rider. Knight Rider was black Trans Am. It's a very iconic movie / TV show car. They tried to redo it. A few years back, they tried to, I want to say, let's see here, NBC, yeah. NBC came out with a remake of the Knight Rider series, and they were trying to modernize it, make it updated. They used the Shelby GT500 Super Snake. It's not the same. The show flopped. It didn't even work. You cannot remake those cars. Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit could not have been as matched or equal with any other car. There was a lot of cars out back then that were comparable. It's the style, the aspect in which the car was used. That is a very iconic car. Oh, Back to the Future. I pray to God one day, I'm sure they will, but I pray to God one day they do not try to remake Back to the Future. Obviously, because the DeLorean is just, they don't exist anymore. It would be pretty neat if they reused an older DeLorean. You know, you take a DeLorean, you restore it. But for them to just make another time machine, my mind will blow. I will lose it. You cannot redo that movie with any other car. Even the Monster Mutts, the Mutt Cut machine from the Dumb and Dumber movies. That show wouldn't be the same if it was any other type of van, other than a van covered in fur shaped like a dog. You just can't do it. So it brings me back to the Eleanor Fast and the Furious 67 Shelby GT500. Like I said, the movie was terrible. So much bad acting in there. Too many cameos. Everybody wanted a spotlight. They were trying way too hard, and then they come out with this car. It's a beautiful car. It's a nice car. I love the car. It's just not Eleanor. Go watch the original Gone in 60 Seconds. The original Gone in 60 Seconds is actually a really neat story. I ask you to get a director's cut and maybe the making of the movie, because it's actually a really neat story. It was filmed back in the 70s. They could only film on Sunday. They had, off the top of my head, it was very low, $1,000. Let's just say the budget was $1,000, and it was literally that low to film this entire movie. And they had in their mind exactly what they wanted: stolen cars, this and that, run away from the police. They had a very limited budget. They had one car. I want to say maybe two cars. So they were filming on Sunday, 20-30 minutes at a time, because they couldn't shut down traffic. They didn't have permits for all that. And they were basically hanging off the back of a truck with a small camera crew trying to capture these cars, zigzagging in and out of other cars, and it was really, really neat to see. That movie in the 2000s can't hold a candle to that original movie. The original Eleanor was a 71, what's called a sports top, not a Mach 1. It was a 71 sports, essentially the first Mach 1 Mustangs. It just, it didn't have the trim level of the Mach 1 at the time. And it was yellow. The original Gone in 60 Seconds Eleanor is actually in a museum now. Since they only had one or maybe even two vehicles, they had to use it for all the scenes. So as they were driving and filming, every nick, every dent, every scratch, every time they sideswiped the car, every time they tried to ram each other off the road, that's actual road rage. There's no CG. That's actual road damage. That car still, to this day, looks like that. It is in the museum. I'm going to show the picture right now. And it's traveled and found its resting place at that museum, and it gets seen by thousands and thousands and thousands of people a year in support of the original Gone in 60 Seconds car. That is the Eleanor. That is where that series started, and that history cannot be changed. I could think of 30 different types of Mustangs that I'd rather see as an Eleanor. So I don't like the argument, well, they don't make that car anymore. I get that. But I want to see some sort of tribute. I want to see some sort of homage to the original car. Not a completely different made up bullshit car. So I'd like everyone to just think. And what I'd like you to do, actually, in the comment section at the bottom of this video, I would like you to, I'm not talking about like your fantasy car, I'm talking about iconic movie cars. I would like you to tell me what started your car enthusiasm. I'd like you to tell me what started your car enthusiasm. Was it Ferris Bueller? Was it Mad Max? Was it Steve McQueen? Was it Easy Rider? Was it, anything? James Bond movies. What car made you want to say, man, I want to get behind the wheel of that thing? Was it the Ghostbusters car? Was it the Gran Torino? Was it watching NASCAR? Hell, even like, I'll even accept that, when you're watching, Richard Petty back in the day, or Dale Earnhardt Sr. You tell me in the comment section what iconic movie or TV or TV series car that you liked watching growing up, and how it affected you, and what started your love for cars and your passion for automobiles. But I'd like you to hit that thumbs up. Of course, these are my opinions. If I piss anybody off, I welcome a discussion on the topic. But if you're not currently subscribed, please subscribe. Remember, our merchandise is available at YouTubePack.com. Just click on the 570 merchandise store. And as always, guys, it's not what you drive, as long as you enjoy the ride. Stay tuned for more great stuff. Thanks.